Hey, what's happening, guys? It's Dave Brown here. This is an episode, the very first episode of Songs Worth Learning. Essentially, the concept is these are songs I like to teach for repertoire for students because they emulate very good things to have under your belt if you're performing. Today, we're going with Sugaree by the Grateful Dead. Really great example of just swing, feel, and just good chord progressions, movement, but nothing too crazy. And it's going to be a great excuse to kind of line up some major pentatonics and line up some triad inversions too. So we'll get into that. So kind of show you how you can expand upon, instead of just learning the song, we can do some other fun stuff too. So yeah, let's check it out. All right, so to get started, we're going to hit up the vamp, which is also the intro, which is also the verse, which is also the chorus. It's pretty much the whole song. So if you can hold down this groove, you're good to go. Now, the Dead never played the same thing twice the same. So this is going to be a loose interpretation of what they generally do, what Garcia is generally doing. But there's a busier version that I like to play that's off of One from the Vault. So I kind of transcribed that a little bit too. Might have taken a little liberty. Again, you can make it your own if you want. As long as you're holding down the groove, you are in the vein of the Dead. So we're going to start on the 2nd fret of the 6th string and hammer our first finger, hammer our ring finger from our first finger to the 4th fret. That's going to lead to the 2nd fret on the 5th string. And you're going to play that twice because that's the root of this B chord that we're holding down. So this vamp is going between B and E. So right now we're on B. So you're holding down strings 2, 3, and 4 on the 4th fret with your ring finger. So it'll be... So you're going to strum down and up, and then you're going to play that root 2 more times. So in total. Okay, now we're going to walk down to the open E. So you're going to play the 4th fret, 3rd fret, 2nd fret on the 6th string. And that's going to lead to the open E, which of course is the root of the open E chord. So in total. Okay, you're going to play that root twice, and then you're going to go down on E. Then you're going to collapse your ring finger and your middle finger, at least that's how I do it, to kind of do this A with an upstroke, and then down on E. So you got, and then you got another up and a down on that E. Okay, before you're forced to kind of get back into that lead in. So you got to really quickly jump back to that 2nd fret. In total, this is what it would be. Okay, so that's the easier version. The more difficult version is going to start off exactly the same. Okay, you're actually not even going to have that upstroke in there, because you're going to have to jump up into this area. Now, basically, this is going to be based out of a classic pentatonic position. So most people think of that as minor, which normally you would place your first finger on B if we're in the key of B, if you want to think minor. But if you think of it in major, you can replace your first finger with your pinky, and then all of a sudden, you're in country Allman Brothers territory there. So essentially that's what the lick is going to be built out of. You're going to double stop or hold down the 4th fret on the 3rd and 4th string, but then also apply your ring finger to the 6th fret of the 4th string. So it's really important you get a good arch on that ring finger, because you want to not obstruct the 3rd string. That 4th fret needs to ring no matter what. And so what you're going to do is you're going to start with that, and then you're going to take it off, and then you'll strike that, but immediately hammer and pull your ring finger. Okay, and that's going to resolve to the 6th fret on the 5th string. So you got, okay, and then after that, you're going to hop up 1 string group. So you want to shift your first finger to the 4th and 5th string and do that same exact thing, except it's going to resolve to your pinky on the 7th fret of the 6th string. So you got, one more time. Okay, and then at that point, it's going to, kind of go down to that open E. So in context, it's going to go. So that E is exactly the same no matter what. And you get the option to choose between these two, no matter whether you're in the verse or in the chorus. It's a little busier, so it's nice, you know, if you're going to opt for this one, it's better in the vamp / intro, and it works really well in the chorus, even though you're going to just play it really quick, just once. So that's basically what I'll recommend. So the verse is, I would just say, just do the simpler version. All right, let's check out the pre-chorus. It's going to be coming from the E in the verse. So you got, and then the same exact timing on the end of the beat 4. Instead of going and coming back around, you're just going to play the open 6th string and then the 1st fret to replace those notes. That's going to be walking up to the 2nd fret F sharp for the F sharp minor. Okay, so in context, you're coming. Hit that root twice. And so for the pre-chorus and generally the chorus, kind of the simplified version of a strum pattern that you can do over this is root, chord, root. So that's exactly how we have it in the verse for the B chord. But on beat 4, you're going to do a triplet. So you're going to go down on the chord, up on the 6th string or the root, depending on what chord it is, and then down on the chord again. So you got, okay, so 1 and 2 and 4 and 5. Then it's going to switch to a C sharp minor, so you're going to do that same exact thing. A, E, B, this is C sharp minor. Now, again, with all of these, you can play, if you know other voicings for these chords, like for instance, I played an A here. Now I'm going to recommend playing an A in open position just because I like this like 3rd fret pull off from the 6th string. And so if you notice on that last measure of the pre-chorus, you're going to do the general vamp kind of thing over the E chord. Yeah, so basically, let's put it all together. So it's going to go. Into the chorus. So let me just explain that A one more time. So you're just classic rock kind of a thing. You're just going to use your middle finger onto the 3rd fret of the 6th string, pull it off to the open 6th string, which is the root for the E chord. And at that point, you're in the chorus. All right, so the chorus again is coming from the pre-chorus, obviously. So you're just doing that classic vamp thing there. And then you're coming into a B, and the very first bar is either the more difficult version of the vamp. And you notice I like to slide off from 7 into the open 6th string. It just gives it a nice touch. So you can do the busier version. And again, that's all the same. That's the vamp. The first 2 measures of the chorus are the vamp. But if you wanted to, you could also do the simpler version. Regardless, after that, it's going to go from the 2nd fret and walk up, just like it did from to the F sharp minor. We're going to walk up to the C sharp minor from the 2nd fret on the 5th string, 3rd fret. So that's the exact same strum pattern as it is in the pre-chorus. Then you're going to go to an A. So again, I bar here. And now A is going to be split between, or measure 4 is going to be split between A and E. So you're going to go. So pretty simple. You're playing the root twice and then the chord strumming. Open 6th string twice. And you only have time for 1 chord before you have to get back into that. And that would be what the solo section is over, like I mentioned before. And so we're not going to go crazy overboard with what you could do with it today, but I would like to get into some triad options, as well as lining up some major pentatonics over it. So let's do that. All right, so let's get into triads. What is a triad? Well, actually all of these chords are triads. If you play this big old bar chord, it seems like a whole bunch of notes, but a triad is just a third, the root, third, and fifth note in the scale. So if we examine this, you have 3 roots, 2 fives, and 1 third, okay? So really it's just over redundant, makes it fuller, which is great, but it's really just 3 notes. And we can simplify that on strings 4, 3, and 2 by just going ring finger, middle, and index. This is what's known as root position because it's literally 1, 3, 5. Okay, so inversions will take the lowest note and put it on top. So if we went 3, 5, 1, that's known as first inversion. However, we're going to stick to string groups 2, 3, and 4. So instead of playing this here, we can play it up here by placing a ring finger on 13 of the 4th string, first finger on the 11th fret of the 3rd string, and middle finger on the 12th fret of the 2nd string. So it's basically the same shape as this. I like to think about keeping the ring finger down and then just taking this basic root position shape and switching your first and second fingers, okay? That's known as first inversion. Second inversion, we kind of already been playing. It's gonna be down here. It's basically part of this A shape. You can just do it with just your ring finger or your first finger. So it really depends on where we're coming from or going to. We're actually gonna use both options. So that can be found on the 4th fret or the 16th fret. Anything that happens below can happen above, so long as you don't run out of frets. But we'll keep it simple. That's as high as we'll go. We won't even go that high. We'll just go this high. So that's for the B chord. So you got a B chord here. You got a B chord here. So 4th fret, 7, 8, and 9, and then 13, 11, and 12 here. And then you can do the same thing with the E chord. So there's going to be a closer option for each one. So the closest option for your E chord would be first inversion off of this. So if you have second inversion here, you just put your ring finger down on the 6th fret of the 4th string and middle finger on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. So that's one option. And then you can go up here, you got this B, and then all you have to do is flatten your ring finger for second inversion E. Then you can go up 2 whole steps. And this is going to pair with root position. So you're going to slide up a half step and then do that switch, middle and index. So the reason why we're doing this is because you don't want to just get stuck playing the same chords over and over again, especially with something like the Dead. You want to be able to have a conversation in the jam. So this would be more so for the jam, but you know, this is the kind of thing Bobby's doing throughout every song all the time. So something to think about. Basically, it just, you know, your ear tends to pick out the note on top as a melody note, and so you can kind of create melody on top, or definitely some kind of communication between you and the soloist. So you can kind of, you know, you can slowly but surely work your way up and build tension, or you can kind of jump around. You don't want to get too busy because you don't want to start stepping on toes, but you know, you can. So as long as you're on that B chord, you can play B's, all B's. Do, 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 do. E. And then wherever you happen to land, you just find the closest next chord. So if I land here, can come back. You get the idea. You can have fun with it. All right, so most people when they're soloing, most guitarists are thinking minor pentatonic, like I mentioned earlier. You can get that bluesy thing going up here. But as I also mentioned, you can place your pinky on the root and get a major pentatonic. Now, we're not going to go overboard learning the whole neck right now, but I just want to point out that when you go from the 1 chord's major pentatonic and you outline the 4 chords major pentatonic, really anytime you're playing over changes and you choose each chord's pentatonic. So if it's an E chord, you play an E. If it's a C sharp minor, you play a C sharp minor pentatonic. If you always play the pentatonic of the chord you're on, it'll sound like you're playing the changes. And honestly, if you're not leaving the key, all of those pentatonics combined, if you reduce the redundant notes, just become the major scale. But if you just start with the major scale, it's going to sound like you're noodling. So if we place this here and we examine when we go to the 4 chord, you'll notice really the only difference is the D sharps go up to an E. And so if you think about this specific scale and then taking these notes and just moving up, you get 1 4 1 4 1 3 1 3 2 4 1 4, and then it'll totally kind of outline those changes. So you got like you can totally use that intro riff that I gave you to kind of start messing around with it, hopefully pull something from that. Very, you know, when you're getting those double stops going, it's kind of Hendrixy. It's fun. It sounds great. You know what? That's about all I want to tell you about Sugaree. So hunker down, have fun with it, and maybe call it a jam or don't. You can do whatever you want. You're your own person. But we'll see you next time.